right, we are live. We'll just wait a minute, all right, and let some people start coming on.
Sure.
Get the comments up here. All right. And so, what's good in the hood, family? This is your boy Cliff. I am back on the interviewing, guys, and I'm here today to interview the fabulous Blended Lines member, Bethaney Curry. How you doing today, Bethaney?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
It is absolutely my pleasure, man. And I want to first talk about why we're doing this interview. So last week in the group, I always tell my members to lean in, right? And because I'm a very big advocate for, hey, Nicole, for mental health. And I just feel like if you just put what you're going through out there in the atmosphere amongst people that you trust, you get that weight off your shoulders, right? And then there's always somebody who's either going through the same thing or has been through something similar, and they offer encouragement. So that's why I like for people to lean into the group, because it truly takes a village, like kids, right? And you posted something that just pretty much floored everybody in the group, I think. And let's talk about it. It'll probably sound better coming from you. So let's go over how you what happened last week, or what you posted last week, if you don't mind.
Sure. So what I posted last week was not the first time that this has ever happened to me. So for those of you who do not know, I am a wheelchair user, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I was in a meeting, and pretty much in a nutshell, I was pretty much told that I kind of don't belong in this group. Not the Blended Lines group, but this meeting that I was in, and that just got me all riled up about how in the past that people have come up to me and said, that I don't belong, or that I should pray and repent, and Jesus will heal me of my disability, and I will walk, and I should shoot myself because my life is not worth living. And just the craziest shit that people come up to me and say. And when it first started happening to me, I still get very shocked, I guess you would say.
Yeah, like my face, like
you're right, like what? Because it doesn't. I don't know. I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, I feel like people should be more tolerant of diversity.
right.
They are not. I guess people are not. So yeah. So anyway, I just kind of, I don't know. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, I'm having a bad day, and I just really leaned into Blended Lines, and look, and I really got the support that I needed, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you leaning in, because I know that's a difficult thing to do. And, especially if you're depressed or something already, what's dangerous about depression is you seclude yourself, right? And, I'm the most extroverted person that you'll probably find. And even people were calling me. I'm looking at the phone, not answering it, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I felt like a burden. So I'm so glad you leaned in, because it led to this. And, really God had already put on my spirit to get back to interviewing. And when I saw your post, I knew that was the interview that I needed to do, right? Because what you made me think about was, when it comes to discrimination, I was thinking more of race. I'm Black, and, when I hear discrimination, I immediately think about black, white, or a racist person or something. But you can also be discriminated against having a disability.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Like, what do you mind sharing some like examples of what it's like to have a disability in America, and then you have people like that walking up to you saying like, you should shoot yourself, and you're too pretty to be in a wheelchair? I mean, it's just mind blowing even saying it.
Sure. Um, so disability in America. Well, I will first say that not all disabilities are created equal. So, and by that, I mean like somebody with a visible disability, such as myself in a wheelchair, I can't hide that. I can't hide the fact that I use a wheelchair. So I roll, people see me, they can assume whatever they want. When I was in college, people would ask other people what was wrong with me instead of asking me. And so finally people would be like, we'll just go up and ask her. And a lot of times, there's more invisible disabilities. So mental health, I mean, that's an invisible disability. A lot of people don't, they can't see it or they don't want to disclose. So not all disabilities are created equal. It's very interesting in the United States, being a person with a disability. So I was born with my disability. My parents raised me just like they did my sister. I have an older sister.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't treat me any differently. And it wasn't until I started working for a nonprofit organization when I graduated college to ask my mom about the delivery of the diagnosis day. So I was born in the 70s. They didn't have ultrasounds and all of that testing they do now. And she told me that the doctor advised her to put me in an institution. And so and that's often, the case is when somebody is born has a diagnosis as an infant with a disability. It's either institution, or they often talk about abortion. And so,
what? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful that my mom said no. She was not going to.
Right. As well as I am.
Yeah. So, because, I often think of how my life would be different. But, here we are today. I mean, I'm young. I'm very active. When I park in a handicapped spot, before I get out of my car, people look at me weird. I've had people like tap on my window and say, you can't park there. And I'm like, do you want me to bring out the ramp in my van?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. I have to laugh it's almost like you have to laugh from crying. I mean, seriously, why do you think people have the audacity to walk up to you and say stuff like that? Do you think, and this is a real question, like, do you think it's a lack of empathy? Do you think it's a lack of education? What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's a lack of education, but I also think it's a people see disability as something different and something they don't know or understand. And so they, I mean, I don't want to get into like a lot of political like eugenics talk and stuff like that, but there's people, I think people just, they don't see it very often. Like, it's not out in the media. It's not, when I grew up, I was the only person in a wheelchair that I knew of in my town. I mean, I really wasn't, but, I was the only one in my elementary school, high school, in a wheelchair.
Right.
So you just don't see it very often. And so I think people, they just don't know what they don't know. So trying to educate them, very respectfully. For me, I'm like, I have some friends that are in a wheelchair, and if you catch them on a bad day and comment on something about their disability or their wheelchair, they'll chew your head off. And I'm like, that's not the way to like educate people, because nobody wants to be around a grump. So
But that's powerful, man. And I can feel that, because blended line, That is so wild. I'm just really tripping because you have really opened up my mind to discrimination, and all forms of it. And what you said sounds like a lack of education, fear, scared to ask the person in the wheelchair versus you want to ask somebody else, which that's crazy to me. Um, Ignorance. It sounds like it's a bunch of layers in it. I do love the fact that you still try to educate them respectfully because that's very difficult to do. Um, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you like if you walk up to me and call me the N word, like I won't like knock you out. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I know where I am in my walk. I know like what a trigger is because for me it's a trigger. You know what I'm saying? It's trauma from my childhood of being bullied and called the N word. So, and I'm going to therapy for that now. But it sounds like even with having a disability, it sounds like it's the same thing with fear, uneducated. I think we talked previously, it may be some privilege in there, or, getting used to like they got some privilege and, oh, let me feel sorry for you because you don't have that type deal going on, right? Um, this is a good question before I want to move on. I don't know who it's from. It just says Facebook user, but can you see that question there? Let's go and answer that right quick.
So I can't see it all.
Okay, so I'll read it.
There is a better word you can use. I can't see it all.
Yeah, so it says, how do you feel about the term disability? Do you feel there is a better word we can use, or is it accurate in your opinion? Which I think that's a great question.
That is a good question. I am probably the worst person to ask because I don't get offended by terminology. I mean, when I'm around my friends, like I refer to myself as like the crip or,
Right.
So I have a disability called spina bifida. So we refer to ourselves as biffs. I mean, I am like the worst person to ask. I mean, I think disability is fine. Like, there, as long as it's person first, because I am a person with disability. Like,
Right.
and I am in a wheelchair, but my wheelchair doesn't have, it doesn't define me.
Right. Absolutely. I love that.
As long as it's person first. I mean, Sam who has autism is not autistic Sam. It's Sam
Right.
autism.
Right.
So.
And I would prefer you not to call me Black Cliff. I'm just Cliff.
So
no, dude, I get it. I totally get it. So, what kind of person has your disability made you? So I'll give you an example. From my mental breakdown, it helped me discover my purpose and my passion. I learned to give myself a lot more grace. I had to start re-loving Cliff again, because over time somehow I lost who Cliff was. I was a people pleaser, so I was trying to please everybody but Cliff, and I lost who Cliff was. So the breakdown led to me finding Cliff finding his purpose and passion, and also then to blended lines, right? So, and it definitely made me a strong person. Like growing up with colorism being mixed, black folks was like, you too white folks was like, you black. So I was on my own island. And so that gave me an advantage to be able to interact with all races, right? Then it also made me strong because I literally like was on an island by myself, unless another mixed kid came out of nowhere, which that didn't happen back in the day. So what superpowers has your disability given you?
So I think it's given me a little bit of resilience and strength. Growing up, I was only, kid with a disability in my friend circle. As someone with a disability and anybody that has really an illness or injury, you go through those cycles of grief where you're angry and you're go through like the why me phase. With me being born with my disability, I didn't really know any different, but I still kind of went through those stages of grief at different times in my life. Like time I didn't get invited to a party and my whole class was, I mean, that for a child in an elementary school, I mean, that's devastating.
Absolutely.
Why me? So I think definitely resiliency and just my support team, my family was very supportive, and even they raised me to be very independent. But yet they were kind of scared of letting me, fly off and be my own person. So I had to learn how to advocate for myself against my parents. Like when I wanted to go away to college, they were like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And so I really had to get the courage to have that conversation with them. Like, no, I'm going away to college.
Wow, that is so.
That was really tough for me. But it also has given me a lot of respect for diversity. Because I am a woman, I am in a wheelchair, and I'm as white can be, but I can still understand and respect, diversity and and all of that, and know that, if I was maybe a different color in a wheelchair, that could be different.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. So I know we talked earlier and you gave me permission.
Yeah.
All right. So can you just tell us a little bit about your disability?
Sure. So I was born with a condition called spina bifida. So basically, spina bifida is a neurological condition that it means open spine. So it happens in utero.
Okay.
I was born in the 70s, so there was not any ultrasound or anything to know. I just popped out and something was wrong. They rushed me to a different hospital, and that hospital saved my life. But so there was a lesion on my back that my spinal cord was in a sac protruding out of my back. And so they did corrective surgery within 24 hours. Now kids these days that are diagnosed with spina bifida in utero, they can do in utero surgery to correct that, to help eliminate some of the disability they might have later in life. So that's pretty amazing surgery to have a fetus to have surgery in utero. I mean, that's just fascinating to me.
So they have the surgery while the fetus is in utero? How does that happen? That is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. So they'll do us almost like a C-section, but they'll take the sac out of the mom's belly, and then they'll cut the sac, and then they'll repair the spina bifida, and then they'll pack everything back in and let you bake a little bit more.
Are you serious? So, and they put it back in?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you should. There's a lot of awesome research about it. So it's in utero surgery. So it's.
I'm gonna definitely be reading up on that.
Do some research. Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal, the things that they can do now.
Right.
So, but depending on where you're on the level of the spine is depending on how severe it can be, or what limitations and stuff, because it can happen anywhere along the spine, your cervical region, your lumbar, or your sacral region. So. And then, a lot of kids with spina bifida have, some cognitive disabilities. Math's not my forte. I hate math with a passion. There some processing issues or initiation, things like that. I mean, but there's therapies and things that you can put in place to help with, getting over those humps and all of that. So.
Right. And remember how I talked about your story is always somebody else's testimony or whatnot. I mean, you see what's at the bottom. Somebody in the group, daughter has spina bifida. Yeah. And she had surgery after birth. So going back, and this may be a tough question for you, but you're strong, I can tell, so I can ask it. How does it make you feel knowing that the technology has progressed now that they can do something like that before the baby is born versus I'm a 70s baby too. I'm 78. So I mean, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I know that, with time, we're going to get more advances in technology and, medicine and all of that. So no, it doesn't bother me really. I mean, hopefully as an adult, I will maybe have not as much benefit from it, but some benefit from it somehow.
Right.
When I was, I saw a doctor when I was 32 for an issue with my spina bifida. And she told me, she goes, well, spina bifida, that's a pediatric condition. I'm going to send you to the pediatric hospital. And I was like,
what?
I'm 32 years old. I looked at this doctor and I was like, magic fairy didn't take away my spina bifida when I turned 18. And I walked out and I never saw this doctor again because I was like, how you're going to send me to the children's hospital?
Right. I'm sorry. I'm just imagining you like in the pediatrician office, and it's like this big adult up in there. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, I asked that question because I just feel like everything is about timing and purpose and reason. You know what I'm saying? And I was hoping that you didn't feel any kind of way. I mean, after we gone, they go have solutions for all kind of stuff, man. That my boys have real bad asthma, or my 10-year-old, and one day they have something where kids can't have asthma. So. But yeah, man, you are strong. You are confident. I can tell. I just love your inner strength, man. I mean, and you know what's so funny? Like and we were talking before we went live. For some reason, I just had a rough day today mentally. Nothing really happened. Oh, yes, it did. We talked about it. The Super Bowl yesterday.
The Super Bowl happened.
The Super Bowl happened. That's what it was. And I'm not 18 anymore. That's what it is. All right. So yeah. So I woke up today. I mean, I was crunk like I normally am in the morning, but like quickly went to like, oh man, like I'm just grumpy. And but I kept thinking about you in our interview today. And I was like, man, shut up, Cliff. You know what I'm saying? You around here complaining about like you're not in a good mood, and Bethaney's around here, has a disability in a wheelchair. Not trying to compare, but it was just kind of a self-check for me. Like, I feel like as people, and it kind of goes back to, I guess, the privilege, like we have so much that we take for granted. You know what I'm saying? And we don't. Or for me, I don't realize it sometimes until like I come up against something else. So I was thinking about you today and I was like, man, I'm around here complaining and all this, and I don't have it. I mean, it can be worse, and you just need to shut up and go through this day.
I think about people that are worse off than me as well. I mean, I have a lot of friends that, they've been injured later in life. And I mean, I could tell you stories about their injuries that would make your toes curl. But, I try to channel my inner friend as well.
Pick up words and blended lines. We don't judge. I make them up all the time. Well, Kim, our lovely Kim has a question. She says, can you talk about some of the ways people can respect wheelchair users when trying to help with doors and things? Which is this is a great question, and let me tell you why. All right. Because what I've heard, I haven't heard it from somebody in a wheelchair directly, but what I've heard through other people is like, don't do it because, some people in wheelchairs get pissed off because they don't want you to be treating them, you know what I'm saying? Like they have a disability, whereas other ones don't mind. So yeah, what are we doing? Because look, I'm that guy. I open the door for everybody. But I will add this, like if should I really say this? I probably shouldn't say this. If I open the door and somebody doesn't say
that, it's not saying.
Yeah, if I open the door and somebody doesn't say thank you, I will admit a few times I kind of let the door go a little early and hit them in the back, but don't judge me.
No judgment.
Yeah. So what do we do about that?
So again, I am probably the worst person to ask because I I'm a very independent person. I'm very tolerant of, different things. However, if you ask me to, if you see me, say, getting out of my car or struggling to get a door open, just ask if I need help. And if I say no, thank you. If I say no, then no. I mean, no. We all know no means no.
No means no. No means no.
So, so respect that no. And if there are times like when I've been trying to get out of my car and I have people have like, oh, can I help you? And I'm like, no, I've got it. I'll do this all the time. And then they keep trying to help, and it just kind of makes the process slower. And so it's no means no.
Yeah,
but it's nice to ask. So
yeah. No, that's good. I like the no means no, because I'm thinking as a parent now, like my boys, 10 and 5. Look, man, I don't know where these new age kids come from. They didn't come from where we came from, because they're so independent. They don't want help with nothing, right? So my 5-year-old is constantly trying to do stuff on his own. And I'm like, son, let me help you. No. And and I'm trying to respect it, right? But I'm like, I see he's struggling. And I'm like, oh, come on, man, let me help you. And he's like, no. So even for me, it's difficult, but I do. But it goes back to what you said. No means no, and if you got to walk away, then walk away. But hell, you've done it hundreds, thousands, millions of times.
Yeah. And Kim brings up a great point. If you don't ask and you just assume and you start grabbing stuff and grabbing a wheel or grabbing a door, they may be using it to balance, or they have like a system in place, and so
right.
Cause them to fall out of their chair or fall on their face, so.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good question. Hey guys, these are great questions. Y'all keep asking Bethaney questions, because I really want us to get out there the discrimination aspect from a disability standpoint. Because again, this is even new to me, because I always thought of it as in race, but clearly you go through the exact same thing that we as people of color go through, as far as just being discriminated against. What is a daily life of Bethaney? Is it just a really difficult task, like getting up in the morning to get ready and stuff like that? Because I get up in the morning and especially being on quarantine, like I had to really make myself like go take a shower, or Toya might be like, you stink. I'm a man, and some things it takes a lot of pushing for me to do. How is it on your end?
Do you want a pre-COVID day in the life, or
Let's do a pre-COVID.
A COVID day in the life?
Yeah, let's do a pre-COVID. That one would be more interesting.
Sure. So pre-COVID, I'm a very busy person. If I am not busy, I don't know. It's not good for me. So,
Same.
Well, and I'm also not, 20 years younger. So.
Right. Right.
For me, I get up, I go to work, I get ready, I go to work. Mm-hmm. I work all day. Sometimes I go to lunch, sometimes I don't go to lunch, and then sometimes I work overtime. I really have a normal life. It's not
right. And I'm just,
but on Thursdays, when there was not COVID, I would go to the ice rink in the winter and do curling. So I started a curling club here in Louisville, Kentucky. So all you Louisville peeps that are listening and want to come curl, Atlanta also has a curling club. So
shout out to Cal to curling, and shout out to Kentucky. That's awesome.
And then it's just I like hanging out with my friends. Struggles that I have, I don't really struggle with. I don't really struggle with anything. It might take me a little longer. I can't just like hop in the shower and like walk out the door. Like there's a process that I have to
Right.
take care of some medical needs and things like that. But
Mhm.
I mean, other than that, I think I had more trouble. I think I had more trouble during COVID just because I'm working from home now. So I don't, there are days that I'm like, have I left the house in like the last 3 weeks? I don't even know. Like, what's today?
Right. Yeah, I struggle with the days, man, a lot. And look, I feel your pain. I'm I have ADHD. I am an extreme extrovert. So I'm constantly looking for stimulation, like dopamine burst. And when we first went on quarantine, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man, I was struggling, right? Um, and thank God, God put blended lines in my spirit, because blended lines to this day is still keeping me engaged. I've met so many new friends, like real friends. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about associates. I'm talking about people who genuinely care for Cliff. Or if I lean into the group too. You know that if I'm like, yo, like not feeling good today, need some prayers, positive energy. People send messages, text, all that. Cliff, just checking on you. And it ain't just me. I mean, other people in the group tell me that happens to them as well. People that don't even know them will just message them, hey, just checking on you. Heard you weren't feeling well. So it's turning into a beautiful community, right? Which I absolutely love. And we don't judge anybody. We just love on you where you are. We're not going to be that idiot that walks up like, hey, pray in 3 days and you'll be walking. Which I want to go into that, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I want to talk. We're finna get into the spiritual realm now, guys. So how does it make you feel when a person walks up to you and says, hey, Bethany, if you pray for 3 days and fast, you'll walk out your wheelchair on the 3rd day? How does that make you feel?
Honestly, it's happened to me more than once, and every time it happens, it still makes me speechless because I'm like, what? And so for me, and like I said before, for me, religion is very personal. So who are you to come up to me and say, but well, first of all, assume that I even, am a religious person.
Right. Absolutely.
Is that their way of like trying to get me to come towards Jesus? Because if it is, I don't want to be a part of it. Or
Right.
apparently I'm not praying hard enough, or I'm not doing something right, or like, did I not throw enough holy water like in the air? I mean, it's so it bothers me in a way that I think that just because I feel like it's like something is wrong with me.
Right.
Way like I'm not valuable, or I'm not like worthy. But as the Bible says, like, God makes us in, his image before we were born. And I was born with my disability. He knew what he was doing when he made me. So,
Right. Absolutely.
Screw you, and you go pray for 3 days, people.
Right. So when, like, okay, so this is just fascinating to me, man. I don't, I'm putting myself in your shoes, man, and I literally don't know what I would say other than probably, I don't know, man. I don't think I will be as nice as you. I'm just gonna keep it real, man, because that is
Sometimes you just have to say thank you and walk away.
I would literally let my face cuss them out. Like, I got a look that I can give you. So I don't have to say anything. My face is just going to curse you out. So I'll probably just ride with that face every time somebody said that to me. And I want to elaborate on that for a little bit. So, when I had my breakdown, my mental breakdown, first of all, I'm a Christian. All right. I am not religious. I don't like religion. I am just a man who believes in God. Right. and Jesus, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so, and I've always been a spiritual person. So when I had my mental breakdown, um, I was going to my wife, Toya, and I was just like, man, I'm really struggling, blah, blah, blah. And she just be like, bless her heart, because my wife has never experienced depression, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, like, if you haven't experienced it, or if you haven't walked a mile in somebody else's shoe, you really don't know. I mean, you can say my condolences or I'm sorry and all that, all you want, but you truly don't know, right? So, and she'd be like, well, you need to pray about it and ask God to deliver you from that. So, I'm praying for like over a year, right? And I started just kind of thinking like you, like, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Why is he not answering my prayer? But I didn't have the mindset then, right, that I have now. Now, when I look back on it, I know that had to happen in order for me to be who I am today. If that hadn't happened, blended lines wouldn't be here, right? Because I wouldn't be yearning for a community of love and trying to reach people who are struggling, right? So now with that mindset, I see I had to go through that. Now, I told you before we came on, I just kept telling myself, I know I'm not going to be like this all the time. I know this is going to be a testimony to tell other people. I felt that in my spirit, even though I didn't feel like that at the time. And then, long story short, man, it happened. And all of this happened, and I actually felt guilty when I went from the bottom to the top because it happened so fast. And I told my wife, like, I don't understand. I don't feel worthy. You know what I'm saying? To be a leader over this community. And she was like, but Cliff, you pray for it, you know? So why are you so confused about it? So I brought that up on purpose to let people know you have to be very cautious when you bring spirituality in it. Do I believe God can heal? Yes, absolutely. But I also believe God does not make mistakes. All right. He made us, right? We are not mistakes. And also you just have to remember that, life is a journey and the challenges make you a better person. And I think once people get that, they'll realize that, okay, this has to happen. You see what I'm saying?
And who's to say healing is not the physical form, but some kind of maybe mental form, or
Right.
it can be so different and so vast.
Absolutely, man. That is a great point. That is a great point. So what is your outlet? Let's talk about hobbies. I know you do the curling, but like with me, my outlet is working out because when I was seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist, my psychiatrist told me the two remedies for depression, natural remedies, are exercise, because it gives you the dopamine fix, right? And interacting with people, right? So I literally work out. If I don't work out every day, it's every other day. That's my outlet. All right. What's your outlet?
So I love anything to do with nature. That's kind of where I go and connect spiritually and mentally.
Nice.
Out in the woods, close to the water. That is just kind of where I love to decompress and just be still and one with nature. So whether that be kayaking or taking a walk on a path, or a roll on a path, if you will, whatever.
Right.
Or just taking a drive.
That's my therapy.
Yeah, so that's one thing. I love to sleep.
Are we twins? We're twinning today, aren't we?
So just being still and quiet and falling asleep, just falling asleep. But I should probably exercise, and I do, just not on a regular basis because it's just hard to keep motivated.
Right. Is that something that the doctors told you that you need to try to do, is the exercise, or don't do it? Like, what is their take on it?
I mean, for me, I think exercise is very beneficial for anybody, especially a wheelchair user, just because when you're a wheelchair user, your body metabolizes stuff differently. And if
Mhm.
you're not careful, you can become overweight very quickly because, I'm sitting on my rump all day. So how many calories am I burning? Not a whole lot.
Right.
So, and I love food.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We are too much alike. We love all the same things. That's crazy. Well, that's what I love about doing these interviews, man. It's like it kind of goes back to the whole thing, man. We're like, look, we all have more in common than we are different. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you said, I absolutely love. I love nature. I love to sleep. I love food, which is another reason why I have to work out every day, or I'd be obese around here. Um, and I mean, it just goes to show you that if, we got to get out of the habit. And it may be a human trait, I don't know, of forming an opinion before we actually talk to somebody or get to know them. I know some of it is fear, but when you're not a fearful person, like my experience made me not fear anything, right? I always tell people it was like me and the reaper in a ring, and we was about to box, and I just got to the point I was like, I'm finna knock your ass out, because I'm not, I'm going out with a fight. You're not finna get me. And I knocked him out. And so, I came out the ring with my chest all swole, and so now I'm kind of feeling myself walking around. But I love that confidence, and I can tell that you're confident, right? And so it's just so important, man, to just love yourself and just be in love with who you are, the good and the bad. And I found that too. Like, yeah, Cliff got some things he don't like about himself, but I've learned to accept and love those things because it makes me who I am, makes me unique, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people, have asked me, if I could swallow a pill that I could, be normal. I'm like, why would I want to be normal? Like, I
And
want to.
what is normal?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
really,
What is normal? But you know what? I can go into a crowd and people will be like, people know who I am, which
right.
I don't. I don't like to be the center of attention by any means.
Hmm.
But it does make you feel a little special when when people know you. I mean, it really does. And
Yeah.
I don't need the attention at all. I could go days without having, any attention. But to know somebody and to know that connection, I mean, that's pretty powerful.
It is.
Also loving yourself. I mean, it took me a very long time to really accept my disability and to accept, you know, the journey that I'm on, the cards that I'd been dealt. And so, that was hard for me to do because I always kept, why me? Why me? Well, you know what? Why not me?
Right. How long did you have that mentality? How long did it take before you started loving yourself? So for me, it took 41 years. Well, I mean, if we count from the womb, we'll count from the womb. From the womb out, it took me 41 years.
I mean, for me, it still can be a struggle just because, and honestly, I think, like social media kind of brings up some of those things, like, because everybody posts their perfect life, and
Yeah.
no, I don't have that perfect life, but I have the perfect life for me, and I had to realize that this is the perfect life for me.
Right. That,
But
that is so true. Social media is a double-edged sword, right? I mean, it can be used for good, aka blended lines, plug, or it could be used for bad, where it glorifies like your life is. I put a post in the group the other day, and it was I don't know if you saw it, but it looked like an airplane window, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way to Dubai," and when you back up, it ended up being a gallon milk handle.
Yeah, I've seen
Get
that.
closer, yeah. So it was hilarious, but so true that people only gonna post the good things.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna post that they may be behind, on bills. If you really want to get real, post that credit score out there. I mean, it's
Let all your dirty laundry out.
yeah. So, but the thing about it, Bethany, is that the more you are true to yourself, the more you show people who you really are, the good and the bad, the less stressed you are. You don't have to worry about covering anything up, hiding anything. I always tell people now, what you see is what you get. All right. If you don't like it right now, don't waste my time or your time. Let's just keep it moving. All right. Because life is too short. But if you're willing to open your heart and your mind and accept me for who I am, then we could be a family, which is what's going on in Blended Line. Blended Lines, I'm starting to see is just a bunch of weird people in some way or fashion along life was misunderstood, and we just all have come together now, and we're kind of like loving on each other and telling each other how special we are because we didn't really get it growing up. You know what I'm saying? So it's beautiful, man. It's awesome. What? And I know we're coming up. They go fast, man. We're at 6:46 now. We got plenty of time. What are some things that we should not say or do when it comes to people with disabilities?
God, that's a tough question.
Well, that one would come from me.
Gosh, I mean, this is probably not the way to answer this question, but just, respect the person for who they are, like there's nothing you can, for me, there's no wrong or right way to do or say to someone with a disability. Just, treat them like your everyday friends, treat them like your family, just be respectful of them. Say hi, give them a smile. I mean, they are people too. So
yeah, that is great wisdom, because that's the thing. If you just treat them like a human being, it takes the disability out of it, right? It's only when you come in acting like they have a disability is when you put the elephant in the room. Would you agree with that?
yes, and I guess one thing is a lot of people they talk really loud to me, like I can't hear.
What?
But I generally say I'm in a wheelchair and my hearing is fine.
Oh my goodness.
Talk in a normal tone.
That is mind blowing to me. But you know what, Bethany, that shows me clearly the lack of education or well, that / stupidity. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a thin line there. Man, that is so wild, man.
Yeah. Also, if they have somebody with them, address that person. Address that, not the person with them, but address that person with this disability.
Yeah.
I read this meme the other day, and it was something like, just because I can't speak doesn't mean I can't think. Just because I can't, express myself doesn't mean I have feelings. It kind of went on a little bit more because I can't remember exactly what all it said, but I was like, that's so true. Like, right. People assume these things, but don't make assumptions. Address the person by their name, and if mom or a friend or anybody's with them and they maybe appear that they can't speak or, for themselves, ask them what their name is and then talk to that person.
Right. Yeah, my boss used to always tell me, don't assume you only make an ass out of you and me, which spells, I'm sure you've heard that before, but yeah, I just think that is like classic. And I mean, that was like 20 years ago. And to this day, I still, when I'm about to assume something, I think about that. Well, that's a good segue into the next question. So, let's talk about hubby. I know he's supportive, and when you guys go out, like, how is it for him? Does he share some of the burden of the stupidity with people? Do the people walk up to you with him there, or only when you're by yourself?
Generally when I'm by myself.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So, I asked him one time, and I think this was like like 2 years into our marriage, and I was like, are you uncomfortable with that, with us holding hands and like people staring? And he's like, I don't care. He's like, fuck people. I don't
Yeah, exactly.
know. And so my husband, I mean, he doesn't have a disability. He's, walks just like on like a biped like everybody else. And
Right. Yeah. Well, man, look, I love being married, man. And we talked about that. Like, marriage is, I love it, but it's like anything, you have to work at it. And I'm so happy you have a partner, man. I mean, you have somebody who's there with you, who can support you, be there with you. And that is so awesome to have, man. I mean, because being alone and having to do it, not saying you couldn't, but it just seemed like it'd be a bit more difficult.
But I always, in relationships and intimacy with a disability is another whole ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought I would get married eventually, but at the same time, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm a strong, independent woman, and I don't need no man in my life. And if I don't get married, I'm fine with that.
There you go. But I mean, but you see the growth. Like I'm just hearing the growth in you.
Absolutely.
Where you get tired. You get tired of being sick and tired, especially of people, because people are going to always have something to say. And I have to get into this bathroom story that Kim is talking about. I gotta get it. I gotta get to this story because it sounds juicy. You know what she's talking about?
I have no
clue. Kim, we don't know what you're talking about. Don't be putting my girl on blast like that. All right, we're gonna go to the next question. What advice would you give to other people with physical challenges and carry hateful attitudes because of it?
So I think you need to, I mean, first of all, that's kind of a big open question because, why do you have your physical challenges? Was it due to injury because of someone else? Were you a domestic violence victim? Were you a victim of a shooting or a motor vehicle accident? Or were you born with those challenges? But I think you have to really kind of do some self reflection.
Mm.
Know that those angry attitudes they're legitimate. That your anger and your hatefulness is very legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can't carry that burden forever, and that you can do things to help your situation by trying to really come to terms with your new abilities, and really kind of moving past and being kind of being happy with where you are.
Right. Exactly. All right, Kim. Okay, so she shed some more light on this. When you overheard evil girl.
Girls, Kim, I really
Kim, we don't know what you're talking about.
I don't remember.
Hey, I can answer this one. Let me see if I remember. 8 years?
It'll be 8 years in October.
Okay, I was close. 8 years. So we're coming up. We got 5 minutes left, Bethany, but I want to give you the stage, man. First of all, thank you so much, man, for just willing to do this. Thank you for leaning into the group. I hope the comments made you feel better because after I was pissed, I had to like calm down after, I heard about all the idiots that kept walking up to you. But then after that, I was like, man, she is a boss. You know what I'm saying? And then Kim was telling me stuff about you, about the curling, and you open up a curling spot up there. And I mean, you're a leader, all right? And to be a leader, you don't have to be able to walk or anything like that. It's all about the mindset. and Bethaney definitely has a leadership mindset. But I'm gonna hand it over to you, Bethaney. I mean, what would you tell us out here, the people, when it comes to people with disability? Like, how can we help? How can we be an ally? How can we love on you guys respectfully? All that good stuff.
So, well, thanks for having me. First of all, I think it's been a great time. And just, I hope everybody's learned something. So, I mean, I hope a takeaway that I hope you get is, treat people with respect. People with disabilities are people too. They might just have different ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Getting dressed, walking, things like that. And if you ever have any questions on how to approach a person with a disability, or we're in a situation, I mean, just you can always reach out to me. I'm an open book, and I can try to help navigate how to talk to someone, or what to do in a situation. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the things that my goals is to really kind of, well, my philosophy in life is I want to make a positive impact on every person that I meet. And so by doing that, I, try to have a positive attitude, and I try to, brighten people's day by giving them compliments. I mean, that's just one of my things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that I want to use my white privilege to help people that are not like me to have my opportunities.
Right.
So whether that be college, whether that be job. And so I really want to help people that are like me, but not like me, like have the same opportunities that I've been given.
Man, that's so awesome. And thank you for the invitation to allow people to ask you questions. Because I think, see, when we put that out in the atmosphere that, it's okay to ask you questions, then that kind of alleviates that fear, right? Because, I mean, you got people who won't even ask you what your disability, well, they go through other parties to find out about you, which is so strange to me. But I know I know they do it. I know they do it because they're uncomfortable and probably fearful, right? So you've given everybody in the group an open invitation. Like if I go do something when COVID goes away for people with disabilities, which I'm gonna get out there and do homeless stuff. I'm gonna do all kind of stuff. But before I go in there, I'm gonna hit you up and just make sure I got my stuff right. I don't want to go in there making nobody mad, or trying to open the door for everybody. Or I'm glad you told me about the no means no, because I would probably be that guy like, ma'am, are you sure? Come on, let me do it for you. No, damn it.
And just know that, if you see somebody and you want to strike off a conversation with them, that it might not go how you planned, and that's okay.
Right.
Just know that you may screw up, and it's okay.
Right. And the most important nugget that I got from all of this, and we'll end it here, man, what really stood out to me, Bethaney, is when you said, treat them like a human being. That's all you got to do. Just go up to them and no, don't forget the wheelchairs there, but just treat them like any other person. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you do that, you won't even have to have a discussion about disability. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, how you doing? How was your day? Oh, good. You married? Regular conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, man. That's so good. So good. Well, look, girl, look, I know you know a lot of people.
I
But
do.
you have a huge family in Blended Lines who loves you for you. Nobody thinks you're broken. I'm honored to know you because you're a leader. I can tell you know who you are, you know your worth. And those are the kind of people that I want to be around from this point on in my life. I don't want to be around any fake people or somebody who go talk about me behind my back and all that crap, right? So thank you, Bethaney, for being you. Thank you for giving me your time, man, and talk to Blended Lines and the family and just encourage us to, what to do and what not to do. And I'll leave the last little minute to you, sis, if you want to say anything else.
Yeah, well, thanks. Hit me up if you ever need anything. I'm an open book, and not just disability. When COVID's over, let's go out and have a good time.
If I ever come to Kentucky, I want you to take me curling.
I mean, I can come to Atlanta and do that too. So,
but Black people don't skate.
There's no.
Black people don't get on no ice. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I mean, can I do it without ice skates? Can I go out there in my shoes and just kind of?
You sure can, because there's no ice skating in curling. Hello.
Oh, it's not. See, I don't even know what curling. What is curling?
2018 Olympics. It's where they throw the big rocks down the sheet of ice.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. They don't even do any ice skating, right? They just push it. You just push it.
It's 52-pound stone of granite.
Oh, it's granite? Oh man, I didn't know it was that heavy. Wow. That's so fascinating. All right, girl. Well, look, I love you. I appreciate you, man. I really do. I'm so glad you are a Blended Lines family member. And this will be in the in Blended Lines for people to watch on live, and it'll be on the YouTube channel as well. But Bethaney, I appreciate you, friend. You have a good one. And look, if you need anything, lean into the group or holler at me. All right.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
All right. Love you, girl. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.